Hello, my name is Dee, but you can call me the Riddler if you like, and welcome to the Dee Cap, where I take a TTRPG actual play and condense it down so that you can watch the latest episodes. Today we'll be once again talking about Lorelwind. Lorelwind is a homebrew 5e D&D actual play campaign run by the lovely folks over at Gut Punch RP. If you haven't seen the first 3 Dee Caps, then what are you doing, you silly goose? This is the wrong video. But you can jump in right now. I don't run your life, I just run the show. So with over 70 hours and more weapons than you can safely shake a stick at, and dice galore, without further ado, let's get into the decap.
Welcome to Lorelwind, where adventurers of all kinds can fill their pockets with coin and bellies with ale. Townsfolk need help with all manner of odd jobs, but take caution when asked to move outside of civilization. For lost and weary souls seek to squash your light and bring it to their vile masters. Trickster, fey, torment, and trick for entertainment. Nobles seek discreet action as much as swift force. Be wary of an alliance with one, for it may bring trouble with another. They all have a tale to tell, but which one holds the truth? It's hard to say. Unless, of course, you...
So, last we left off, our intrepid heroes finally escaped the twisted and tormented place called Darkstar Keep. But where they had teleported was a mystery. To most, aside from Blaze, their friend who did the teleporting. Slowly realizing that they've teleported into a university teleportation circle, they apologize and thank the nice librarian that they just dropped in on. Hurrying away from the campus toward the shopping district in the city of Rosenberg, Hazel, another friend to the party that teleported with them out of the keep, offers them her very nice suite as a place to unwind and finally let the adrenaline and tiredness wash over and out of them. Our heroes unbuckle armor and peel off bloodied clothes, stacking up the dinged and dented armor in a pile to be mended in places where it's broken and torn. Scotty raids the mini fridge, as is her right, and pours a glass of wine out of what looks to be a pricey bottle before setting it aside, and slowly but surely, our party falls into a deep and well-deserved sleep. With the exception of Bjorn, who is visited for the second time by a ghastly figure that calls itself the Keeper of the Woods, who informs him that since she has granted him power, Bjorn is now in her service, entasking him with finding a cave of great power in the Karn region. Left with that more than cryptic message, Bjorn wakes up, as does most of the party next morning. Blaze and Hazel resolve to sleep more, while the party take inventory of both their spoils and loot from the ordeal. And one of the more interesting things they come across, outside of a batch of new magical items, is something that seems to be a log of purchases or invoices, with names that the crew suspect might be code names for certain people, or perhaps even locations. Sheer makes note of the fact that they must have told some type of lie to her family about the state of her life before letting the vampires take her, but she has written a letter to them sent via a magic item Sheer has that will hopefully explain everything. Keeping with the idea of next steps, the party begins to break down what exactly they should do next. There are more keeps and more villains in this scheme, and they seem to only have started unraveling this plot. Scotty urges the group to not get ahead of themselves. They barely made it out of the keep alive this time. They need more strength, allies, and if they can manage it, more god-killer weapons, the only weapons capable of killing the Sorrowsworn. They decide to start with what they do have, discussing Blaze, Hazel, and fairy godmother Vafir. On top of that, Sheer suggests that her family, who are deeply entwined with the Church of Saloon, may be able to provide some recon assistance as well. Speaking of family, between Annabelle's sister Ellie and Sheer's sister Naraja both being on the side they are against, Sheer suggests they give those relationships a hard look, which leads to a discussion of who can be redeemed. Decoding a message from Natasha from a bit ago, the rest of the party is finding out the message, something is Simon. Simon is Sullen's brother, who is yet another twin that Sullen explains died in a magical accident. Sullen decides to recount the painful past accident and his family to the party, detailing that they were all very learned clerics, and while Sullen put in a great deal of effort, he was only ever good at stocking the shelves. Later, when trying to pull an innocent prank on his brother, Sullen caused the explosion. In the wake of it, he begged the owl to fix it. And while he understandably doesn't know the exact details of the deal, He depressedly remarked so now he has feathers and his brother is apparently stuck in a ball. Sullen also shares a vision he had where his parents, who still run their potion shop in the town of Rosenberg, don't remember either of their sons. The party convinces Sullen to go see them and ensure him that they have his back. Before they set out, however, Hazel and Blaze share their map and notes with the party. After exchanging information, they also learn that the code names they found earlier are actually tavern/inn names in two separate cities. Judging by the amount of money sent ahead of them, it may be where they're headed next. The party charts out a rough draft of a course, resolving to find a mode of efficient travel and trying to track down some god-killer weapons along the way. After some more detailing and editing of the plan, the party sets out to Sullen's family potion shop, but upon meeting the very nice shop owners, Sullen's parents, remember, they don't show any signs of recognition, and Sullen notices that the family portraits that used to be in the shop are gone. A little more gray emotionally after the shopping trip, the party goes back to the library to try and get more information. They decide to do all of their shopping in one go and restock on spellcasting components, and they repair and upgrade weapons. Toward the end of the day, the party realizes through their surroundings that upon leaving the keep, they've somehow been pushed backwards through time by 25 days. The team is very confused as to how and why exactly, but decides to try and strike with any small advantage they may have. Deciding to send out a few messages to try and get the ball rolling on their allies while they have the available resources to do so, after a night of de-stressing in a bar or three, the party find their ways to bed. A few days pass, during which the party does some recon on the cave, which includes giants, a lava pit, and a platoon of warrior hobgoblins, the latter of which ready their weapons and attack. The party responds to this by transforming Annabelle into a great ape, aptly nicknamed Bananabelle. Perfect. No notes. The party continues their way through, narrowly avoiding traps and other hazards before eventually reaching the innermost chamber of the cave, where a fearsome dragon named Nifith, the Sunderer of Destiny, lies in wait. Fucking awesome name, by the way. The dragon roars at the party, informing them that she has killed greater adventurers and that these paltry creatures will be of no consequence. And as the battle begins, Sullen is suddenly bamfed away by a new friend. This friend in question introduces herself as Taito, a creature that's been watching Sullen for quite some time and can offer a modicum of help by, quote, getting rid of all of that gross warlock stuff. Hilarious. And Sullen goes from our level 10 warlock to our brand new shiny level 10 cleric, and then is bamfed back into the dragon fight. Even with his help, however, the party realizes that this is a losing fight, and with Sullen now in possession of the new staff they came here to get, they decide to make a quick escape. Breaking away through a nearby door, Sullen's shiny new godkiller staff suddenly glows radiantly white, and the party find themselves near a small circle of familiar archways they've spotted in all these various caves and keeps. The party are pulled to the edge of different archways, seemingly paired with the weapons they've already found, and Scotty suggests that they are potentially being given a chance to pick another keep to assail and another god-killer weapon to plunder. The party decide to stick together but be careful as they jump through a portal on the other side of which they see a sea of stars, and suddenly, Sheer arrives alone in a darkened hallway of strange metal and is prodded by a sharp metal beetle, after which she can understand this odd language pouring out all around her. Welcome. You have just arrived at testing facility 86192. You will be assessed and processed. Please wait. By Unit A1N T38IT62HE658231626S. That's right, bitches. It's time for a space episode. The goddess soon then makes her debut, assisting a rightfully fangirling Sheer to complete what the robotic overlord voice calls the first test. Similarly, Annabelle and Scotty go through a bit of puzzle making and are then told to wait for their friends to appear. Bjorn and Sullen have a similar experience, and as the party waits to be reunited, they are treated to the same pleasant elevator music, as it's called. After an hour, the groups are brought back together and are excitedly bombarded by Sheer, who shares that she has met and been helped by her goddess. Though she admits that she always chooses the prettiest as her champions, so being visited is particularly a blessing. After which, the team is subjected to and fairly easily disperses their first combat test, but at the end of this one, they finally get a name to put to the voice that has been urging them through this rigorous testing. It is a being named Antithesis. Antithesis shares that they are currently in a pocket dimension outside of the distorted timeline our party hails from. Using Sullen's staff as a point of reference, Antithesis also shares that they've seen something similar. Antithesis was created by the original owner of the wizard tower the party finds themselves within right now. But, tired of their prattling back and forth, Antithesis shuffles the party on to the next test. This one a more in-depth puzzle involving shapes, ladders, and the comparison of various notes. And after passing, they are immediately shuttled into their second combat test, a voice warning that they will be assimilated. The enemies are not varied in form, but effect. The party quickly deduce that they will need to be very aware of which damage type hits which creatures. After a much more tricky fight than the first one, the party is very flatly congratulated. Antithesis is then ominous as fuck when she adds that she will calculate and factor in the damage types they used in this combat into future testing. The party is given a brief moment to collect themselves and play in a wheelie office chair, as Antithesis informs them that maybe, just maybe, there will be cake after they finish their tests. But there is no cake. I mean, you could even say that the cake is a lie. Alien Fight is up next. The combat is against a golem designed to interact with and hyper-murder the party based on how they've fought their other combat tests, but in spite of that, the party comes out on the winning side. Go Team Lorelwind, I guess. Congratulating them on defeating all the tests that Antithesis could create, the AI rewards them by giving Sheer a Staff of Power, the next Godkiller weapon. In addition, offering to send them anywhere in Lorelwind, as well as sending a message to a person of their choosing, if one of them gives Antithesis access to their memories to do so. Sullen bites the bullet and the party sends a message to Hazel, and the teleportation destination is Port Salan, with the intention of heading to the next cave in Karn. At this point, there are 7 days until the timeline syncs itself back to how it should be, so the team buys a few fireworks and some other supplies before turning into various flying creatures to get themselves closer to the Cave of Karn. The party sends messages and discusses various things amongst themselves: Bjorn's family life, Sheer reading letters from some family members she got in return, and Scotty and Annabelle decide to have a magic fight sometime in the future once all of this is settled. A magic fight that Sheer adds herself to, but not until everything's taken care of. This is around the time that fairy godmother Vafir, along with sister Vasmir, appear and give the party the lowdown on what exactly they've been doing to the timeline. Vafir explains that they've created a paradox. If they were to go back to events that have already happened or inhabit the same places that they did in the first run-through of the timeline, they would basically blow up the world. Vafir also mentions that anything that has happened will happen as it's meant to. They've been given this extra time as a gift to prepare themselves to stop Shar when the timeline syncs up. That also means that they can't prevent the keeps that have fallen from falling. So no redos in this one, kids. Bjorn asks Vafir if he's ever heard of the Keeper of the Wood, the skeletal, banshee-esque creature that's been appearing in his dreams recently. Vafir shares that a few creatures give themselves a title that uppity, but it is very likely that it's a unique banshee from the outskirts of the Summer Court, though he notes that it's odd since they generally don't interfere with material plane shenanigans. But they then connect the dots that with a planar gem, the Coven of Banshees could have full access to the material plane, a planar gem that lies within the Cave of Karn. However, having been noticeably quiet during most of this information trading, Annabelle shares that Ellie, in fact, came to her in a dream trying to get her to switch sides. Sullen mentions that that would be siding with the owl, and Annabelle attempts to counter with saying she'd be joining Ellie, not the owl, but concedes that at this point, it's the same thing. After that, the team catches Vafir up on all the various things he's not seen the party go through. Vafir inspects Bjorn and concludes that the cough and ill feelings he's had in recent days is attributed to a curse placed on him presumably by the same creature plaguing his dreams. This party, man, they can't go more than 6 days without picking up a new curse. I gavolt. Vafir confirms that killing the Banshee would destroy the curse, but given the Banshee in question is in the Feywild, and time is already screwy enough, they decide to break the curse through ritual. Sullen contacting folks where he can to try and pull materials together. The party commends Vafir for actually just outright being helpful for once. Holy shit, the world is ending. Being more than 2 days away from the cave still, the party continue their journey in that direction. But while in the air, sometime later, as giant eagles, everything goes wrong. The saturation of the sky deepens as each party member can feel the hair on their bodies stand up, almost as if static was streaking through the oxygen around them. The polymorph spell keeping them aloft suddenly dashes and is scattered, but Scotty's Featherfall manages to bring them down safely. After a brief fight and a subsequent short rest, Bjorn is at odds with his decision. Should he take the owl's deal? Is he making things harder on his party by not? Perhaps if things get bad enough, he should take it. Scotty brainstorms what exactly the owl would even want from Bjorn, to which Bjorn responds he has very little to give, and he is resolute that the creature will not touch his memories of the few people that he keeps precious. Annabelle and Sullen take watch and trade some secrets and emotions back and forth. Annabelle admits that she isn't okay, and Sullen shares that he, oddly enough, feels fine, though he's struggling to not take the intellectual way out of everything. Annabelle sourly remembers her encounter with Ellie and Captain Jasper, but the recounting of the story strikes a light bulb in Sullen's mind. Perhaps what Ellie and her crew are trying to pull together is actually a soul vault for a lich. Though, since they aren't sure who it would be, they stick a red thumbtack in the idea and sleep away after their watch concludes. The next morning, Bjorn is awakened by Sullen checking over him to see if the curse has worsened, but it seems to have held still. The party decide it's probably best to heal Bjorn first, otherwise they will end up trying to fight through a cave with a sick party member who could grow worse at any time. They take off as giant eagles and decide to track down a raven as one of the pieces they need to complete the ritual in question to heal Bjorn. For adventurers the caliber of our party, procuring a twice-dead raven and returning to the cave is quite easy. And oddly enough, the general interior of the cave proves to be much the same. Bjorn, however, sees visions. The Banshee woman on the horizon, mixing, shifting, like heat waves on a hot road. He gains a fever, and even dreams, unsettling nightmares, begin to encroach at the edges of his rest. The party also continues to solidify their lich theory, though they still don't know exactly whom the intended target for this would be. However, throughout the cave, Bjorn's problems become quite more material. As they procure the planar gem the Banshee has been looking for, the hellish creature makes herself known. There is a screech that tears through the echoing cavern, making Annabelle, Scotty, and Sullen fall straight up unconscious. The Banshee taunts and terrorizes Bjorn, seemingly keeping him conscious simply to watch as she rends his party asunder. Meanwhile, in the shallow depths of unconsciousness, Scotty is visited by the owl and offered a deal. The owl then appears to Bjorn, making an offer to save his sister, the party, and to break the curse. Defiant, angry, and tired of this feathered bastard, Bjorn rebukes the owl. Damn it! Damn this deal, and damn this Banshee, and damn anyone who stands in their way. And just then, Scotty, on the edge of consciousness, can make out a golden light as the gates of Valhalla briefly open to assist our two Vikings who are in dire need of the assistance. A bolt of light crashes into the owl as it disappears in a scattering of feathers, and Scotty swears she can just hear the voice of Iona say, "Get the hell away from my daughter." As Sullen is able to heal up the party, Bjorn makes a mad dash for the axe that they came to this place for, and by the skin of their teeth, they manage to escape thanks to a teleportation circle with the planar gem, the Godkiller axe, and their lives still intact. Landing back in Rosenberg, the party decides to take the evening off and visit a few taverns, as well as a fight pit that Bjorn is hesitant to join at first because the curse is still making him feel less than 100%. But he decides to partake, and in the final round of the night, it is our lovely party Vikings, one-on-one, and after a hard-fought battle by the books, Scotty comes out of the battle victorious, healing Bjorn as she pulls him back to his feet. The next day, the party finishes gathering the materials needed for the ritual and makes their way to Hazel's tower to perform it and cure Bjorn. Bjorn sees the sun over Valkyr. He recognizes the rolling hills and everything goes white for a moment. He sees Iona in full armor, winged helmet, glowing white hair, and a familiar hammer. She tells him she usually meets people on the battlefield. Bjorn says he is glad to see her, and that she has done so much for him. He appreciates being able to see her one last time. She smiles and places his hand on her chest. This will not be the last time you see me. And for the first time, Bjorn breathes in deeply as the white light fades from around him. And there is no pain. He sees only the smiling faces of his very tired friends, and he knows that he is cured. In this peaceful, tranquil moment, Scotty receives a worrying message. It's from Kyola, our furball druid. And she is called to tell the party that the fairy godmother's sister, Vasmir, has taken something. And that's it. Well, that's not it. I mean, the wonderful thing about Lorelwind is that it's still going. Goodness gracious, I thought things were wild before the Darkstar Keep, but we are in the sauce now, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone inside and out of the gender spectrum. Sullen and Bjorn taking center stage for this arc for me. Learning Sullen's past and Bjorn having that badass moment where he rebukes the owl. In my notes, I lovingly called this section the Cave Saga because we've been cave diving and we're collecting those Godkiller weapons. What was your favorite moment in this arc? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you want to catch the latest episode of Lorelwind, you always can at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/gutpunchrp. And if you want to save more time, click that bell icon so you can stay up to date for when the next Dee Cap drops. Dee Cap drops. Dee Cap drops. There we go. Once again, thank you so much for watching. My name is Dee. It's 3 in the morning. This has been the Dee Cap. And until the next time I see you, be good people. Bye.